Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Hudson. If you haven't seen this show before, my name is Art Bergeron. My day job is as an elder law attorney at Myrick O'Connell in faraway Westboro. But this is not about my day job. This is about my friends Frank and Mary. If you've seen these shows before, you know that Frank and Mary's goal in life is very simple. They want to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And if that's Hudson, that means right here. They don't want to move to Marlboro, far away Marlboro where I live, or to San Diego with their kids. They want to stay right here. So the question is, who are the people they need to know? What are the programs they need to know about in order they can stay in Hudson and know what's going on? Because boy, as you folks know, Hudson changes all the time, it seems, these days. So my co-host, John Parent, has done a great job of over the last, what is it, year and a half we've been doing these now, John?
Yeah.
A while. Of finding these great guests to help you understand kind of what's going on in the town and kind of what's new and exciting. And we have some great guests today. John, thank you very much for bringing these folks in. Who do we have today?
Well, thank you, Arthur, and it's really my pleasure. We have two great individuals, Christina Johnson, who is the acting director of the Planning and Community Development Department. And we also have Pam Helnick, who is the acting assistant director of the Community Planning Department. Our previous director retired going back a month or so ago. So hopefully we'll get rid of the terminology acting very shortly. Just a couple of quick words about these two individuals. Unless you're involved in the town, I don't think there's a great enough appreciation for what these individuals do. One of their various functions is offering technical advice to three different boards: the Planning Board, the Conservation Commission, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. And that's not just sitting in on the meetings, but it's doing the preparation, it's doing the research that's needed so that these boards can make the right decision. The number of projects that they're involved in is really extraordinary. And they range from relatively small projects to very large projects. And I'll just give you a couple of, for examples. The Rotary, just a major project, something that a tremendous amount of work and time was spent on, and they did a great job. The Town Hall, well over $1 million in repairs in order to preserve that very historic building. And all of those repairs and dollars had to be overseen by somebody. Some of the smaller ones, but important, the Downtown Farmers Market, establishing us as a green community, the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Project, and now another one, the South Street Riverwalk. So we need really to congratulate these people. And I failed to mention one large project that's fortunately coming to fruition, and that's converting the old police station on Packard Street to affordable housing, which is a goal that I've had for a number of years, is trying to create additional affordable housing. And that simply would not have been done without this department and these two individuals. So you have a wealth of items that you can talk about. We don't have enough time to talk about all of them. So let me just maybe start you off. Maybe talk a little bit about some of the older projects that are wrapped up, and then equally important, what's coming down the line for new projects. So I don't know who wants to start it off, but
I'll
Christina,
start and Pam can join right in.
There you go.
We don't have really enough time to go through everything.
No.
So as John mentioned, and thank you for that really heartwarming introduction. It's our pleasure. We really enjoy working here and working for the town, and we especially enjoy working with John. The select board, they are our policy partners, and we really love developing and implementing projects in partnership with the select board and our other boards as well. So as John mentioned, we do provide a full suite of professional and administrative. We do all of the administrative work. We don't have secretaries or office managers, so we're filing, paying bills, sending out abutters notices. So we're doing that as part of our workflow. So we do that for the land use permitting process. And as John mentioned, we staff the big three. We call them the planning board, the zoning board, and the conservation commission. It's a lot of work. Our boards are absolutely terrific. And, we are providing them with a lot of the technical guidance, but as well as all of the administrative work it takes to make these boards run. And both Pam and I kept all of our boards operational throughout COVID, not one shutdown. And of course, Councillor Bergeron knows that the governor, as part of his emergency declaration, relaxed a lot of the requirements or the issues surrounding constructive approval. So we would have been able to just not open public hearings and not be in jeopardy of getting things approved constructively because we didn't open the hearing. But we didn't do that. We kept going. We educated our boards on how to do these online meetings. And actually, Pam and I conducted some of the most complex public hearings of our professional life this past summer on Zoom. So some of the things that, we got done this summer, we, and Pam can maybe talk a little bit about this, the Eversource project, which I know consumed most of her summer with the Conservation Commission. Of course, I was working with the planning board and the zoning board on various development proposals. One in particular is the redevelopment of 240 Washington Street. That's the mobile station that's on the roundabout. And this is going to be a complete site redevelopment. It will be a gas station, but the new trend is having these gas stations be a lot more higher end, more appealing to sit outside, have coffee. They've turned into these like mini Whole Foods in a way, like these convenience stores. So really exciting to work on that. And if Counselor, you thought Gourmet Donuts had traffic and circulation issues, this project took a lot of meeting after meeting. It was a real iterative process, but that's what Pam and I enjoy doing. We enjoy managing the project, managing the process, and working with the stakeholders, public safety, the DPW director, and our boards to really bring these projects to fruition. So that's really the land use side of what we do, which is very, very time consuming. But we also do a lot of grant writing, grant administration, which leads to more project management. The Rotary project, the South Street streetscape beautification project, both of those were funded through the MassWorks infrastructure program, which the grant writing itself was quite onerous, and as well as administering both the grant and the projects were kind of a heavy lift, but certainly those two projects were super transformational for our downtown. And in fact, the Rotary couldn't have come at a better time with COVID and our need for more outside spaces, which led to the Riverwalk Project. I'm not going to get into the details. I'm going to let Pam talk about that project. She's very passionate project manager on that. But what we like to do with our economic development is we keep putting the pieces together so that we're coherent, and we're, everyone asks what our secret sauce is. We're all together. We've got the infrastructure, we've got the business improvement district, which actually that whole idea emanated from the recently retired director. We call him the director emeritus, Jack Hunter. Give him a fancy title. Which helps us identify a lot of the different needs for the downtown as well. So we're quite a multi-faceted department. So I'm going to stop talking and give Pam the floor. She's got a lot to say, and I know you'll be really interested in some of the projects to discuss.
I just wanted to add one thing, which is, I've done, as you know, John, I've done a lot of work in a lot of communities on the private side, my day job. Before I got so old that my clients didn't want to talk to me, and that's why I just do elder law now, because my current clients think I'm young. I love that part. But one of the hallmarks of Hudson, as opposed to so many of these other communities, really goes to something that Christina just said, was that people were like working together. You would go to some of these communities, and those three boards, the planning board, the zoning board, and the conservation commission, they were like separate little fiefdoms. And they were, oh, how could these people have approved that? And blah, blah, blah. And nobody talked to each other. But I think that when you talk about the secret, that is the secret sauce. The secret sauce in Hudson is people, and it's people like Pam and Christina that are the sauce, that actually glue a lot of these folks together, because the communication is better, it's transparent. Nobody's kind of surprised by what somebody else is doing. That's just huge, huge. It's easier. Well, it's easier in Marlborough because of the structure, because you have the mayor and council structure, right? But kind of inherent to towns is it can be much harder because the boards are all over the place. So anyway, it's always a pleasure dealing in Hudson.
Very good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, John and Christina and Art, for all those great introductions. So I'm just going to kind of touch briefly, because I've got so many different projects that I'd like to talk about. So one of the big ones I'm right in the middle of working on right now is the Riverwalk Project. Some people don't even know there is a short but very nicely placed downtown Riverwalk. It starts behind the South Street parking lot by the Horseshoe Pub, and it runs down to Salucci Park, and it currently had ended at the bridge by the skate park. So this project does a lot of good things. It's with a grant from Mass DOT. We actually designed this full project using CPA funds, and we had a steering committee made up of business community, recreation division, and we designed this whole thing, and we're doing it in pieces a little bit because of funding. But this current portion, we are making the trail ADA accessible by extending the path that currently ends at the bridge on the skateboard side of the park and does not connect up to the sidewalk or the parking area on Salucci. We have now extended the path. It connects the gazebo. It goes behind the gazebo. It connects to the parking area at Houghton Street. And it's going to, in the works, go down along Danforth Brook and connect up to the sidewalk along South Street. So now this is now accessible for anybody who can't be walking on the grass. We're also adding low lighting along this path to make it safer to use, especially in the winter when it gets dark so early. People can now walk on the path and feel safe because it will be lit. And we didn't originally think we'd have money to do this, but our grant actually is also allowing us to remove this wall of invasive vegetation that actually blocks your view of the river when you're walking on the Riverwalk. Actually, starting today, they are digging out all this and we're going to replace it with native seed mix, low-lying grasses and plants. So we're really excited about this, and this will make this path accessible to a lot more people. It's less than half a mile from the senior center, actually, as well as from the senior housing on what's that, Lake Street. Yeah. So we're very excited about that. In addition, as John mentioned, we are right in the middle of working on our Packard Street project, where that old police station that has been deserted now for several years and just basically an eyesore is all going to come down, and we are in the process of hiring a developer to put in what is going to be some really high quality, affordable housing, about 40 units. That's going to allow people, housing prices in Hudson are going up, and it's making it harder for some young families and seniors to live here. And we're really hoping that this will allow people to come into the community or to stay in the community. We're very excited about that. I also do want to mention, when I first started in Hudson, I didn't really have a lot of, I was the conservation agent, and I didn't really have a lot of volunteer groups. And since I've been here, we now have the Green Hudson volunteer group and the Hudson Land Trust, also a group of volunteers, and they have been very active, helping both with the green communities, which is municipal sustainability projects. We have also improved trails and added trails in both our Danforth conservation, which is our main conservation area, beautiful area that goes by Danforth Falls, as well as our newer parcel, the Old North Road Conservation Area. And we've put in some boardwalks over muddy areas, some bridges, and we've also put fixed bridges in the running trails that go behind the high school along the Assabet River to Wood Park, to the Assabet River canoe area. And we're planning we have another conservation restriction area that we're building a bridge on soon. So I did want to mention those as well. That's just a bunch of stuff I'm thinking of off the top of my head. I don't know, Christina, if you want to talk more about Rotary or Broad Street or any of those.
How about a completion time, Pam, on Riverwalk?
Oh, well, the current part of the project has to be done by the end of May, because the grant we got from Mass DOT requires that everything is done by the end of May. They are making incredible progress. The cement is down. There's another area of permeable pavement that's going to go down, I think, later this week, depending on the weather. The bases for the lights are almost all in, and they're working on removing vegetation today. In addition to the low lighting along the path, we're also adding 2 new street lights under this project. So that part of the project will all be done by the end of May.
Wow.
And then 2 other really things that we're excited about, and I know the business community is also excited about once we have the funding and the right permits in place, is at the main entrance from South Street parking lot behind Horseshoe Pub. We plan to put an overlook over the Assabet River so that people can walk out onto this little overlook and see the river. Which we're very excited about. Right now, if people want to get down to the river, they have to kind of make their own paths. It causes erosion into the river, degrades the sides, and this way they can just walk out on this overlook. And I know that people are excited about that. And we also hope to have a welcome archway. Because right now, you don't even know the Riverwalk's there. If you don't know it's there, you don't know it's there. But if you're on South Street, and we're hoping now that South Street has been redone and is much more pedestrian friendly and welcoming, that there will be more people in the South Street area, you will see this big archway, that says Hudson Riverwalk or whatever. And there'll also be some interpretive signs along there with both the ecology of the area and the history of the area. There's a lot of history. There's actually pieces of leather in the banks of the river there from the old shoe factory that used to be there. So there's some cool stuff that we're going to eventually highlight as well.
John, that's such a great idea to take advantage of. I mean, certainly what was nice about the downtown and the Rotary and stuff was, to some extent, you were lucky that you didn't fall prey to urban renewal in the 60s. Yeah. So things didn't get torn down, and so you were really restoring that. But to take advantage of the river, I mean, there are so many communities that were built along Marlboro, but most communities were built along these rivers, and they were kind of shunted aside as the mills closed down and stuff. But to make it really a feature now, that's a great idea, right? Because you've got so much foot traffic that seems to be happening now in your downtown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're really hoping that people will eat in one of our many downtown restaurants and then go for a stroll along the Riverwalk afterwards,
Right.
which I think is a really nice way to spend an evening for people of all ages. So,
You know, it's I'm amazed at the number of people that use the rail trail. You know, and those are the type of people that are going to make it a point to utilize that as well. You know, as you guys talk, I keep thinking of additional grants and programs and all these different things you got going on. Can you or Christina talk a little bit about the grant that you received on the Wayfarer sign program? I don't know if I pronounced that right or not, but
Wayfarer sounds very fancy rather than wayfinding, so I like Wayfarer.
you like
Wayfarer,
that?
that's good.
Let's use it.
Fancier. I could talk a little bit about that. Pam was also part of the steering committee on downtown wayfinding. Now, this is not just your average directional signage that you see, you know, or got, you know, the regular, you know, street signs or things like that. This was an effort to think about a way to brand the downtown and incorporate that brand into a unified wayfinding system that would guide folks both in vehicles and pedestrians to various locations within the downtown. You know, our institutional assets, we've got the library, the town hall, of course, the fire station, you know, the rail trail, but also to the parking facilities to make it a little easier for folks to navigate. And also to just create this unified brand that when you see, you know, the collection of signs, it will all have the same graphic and typology. And actually the steering committee, after many iterations, I am not a design person at all, so I just sat and listened to everybody go through the different design iterations. But what was actually decided upon for the image that kind of represents the downtown was the Oddfellows building. So having that on some gateway signs and really part of that downtown feel, and it also, as you said, are, you know, really represents the Hudson architecture that was never ruined, either in urban renewal, and actually is now preserved by the Historic District Commission. The fact that we have a regulatory, you know, jurisdiction that monitors and approves design changes to the architecture in the downtown. So the wayfinding actually represents a lot of that. And we received a grant from the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism, MOT, I guess is what everybody calls it. Wasn't the full amount, but it's enough to work with to basically start to implement the signs. And the steering committee that was formed included both myself and Pam, the recreation director, making sure that the signs could be used in a way to point people to the recreational assets that we have in our downtown, members of the select board, members of the bid who were so excited to be part of this project. And after we got through, we worked with an urban design consultant who was also grant funded. That was funded through the director emeritus to basically work with us to go through the design process and the visioning process. And over the summer, we walked the downtown with a big aerial map with our masks on, and we put dots on this map indicating the types of signs we want to see, how many. And so eventually, now that we got an $8,000 award, which is actually a lot of money to work with for the signage.
The sign.
Yeah.
So over the next, I would say, month or two, our next steps will be, we're going to go to our internal traffic committee. We want to make sure that public safety and the DPW are okay with the locations. We don't want to clutter areas. We don't want to cause conflicts to accessibility on the sidewalks, you know, making sure the sight lines are good. And then we're going to go to the select board and hopefully, you know, get approval and get going. But I really think it's like the topping on the cake, you know, it's going to jazz up the downtown even more and just make it so that you know that you've arrived.
And can I just jump on with one really quick thing that Christina made me think of, because I've also been working with the Historical Commission, which is separate from the Historic District Commission. And we have a CPA grant that you will be seeing the results of soon. We're making plaques, historical plaques to go on the buildings, and they'll have the name of the building, the year it was built, and little bits of interesting historical information on them.
Yeah.
And actually tomorrow night, we're going in front of the Historic District Commission to discuss those. There's like 10 signs that are going in the Historic District area, and then another 15 or 20 that are going in other places in Hudson. So we're also excited to see that happen as well.
Wow.
So John, I want to throw in one piece of historical trivia here, because it's so exciting to be seeing that. I remember talking to, there was a selectman in Hudson. Was it Rosemary Merlini?
Yeah, that's going way back.
This was going way back.
Yeah.
Who explained to me how the historic district got created. That she was walking down the street, and Ralph Warner, the old town clerk, was walking down the street, and they bumped into each other, and across the street, the building was being knocked down where the Avidia Bank was going to put in their drive-through.
Yeah.
And Rosemary said to Ralph, said, "Can they do that?" and he said, "Well, yes, because there's no historic district." And that's what led to the historic district, you know, because it's so easy. I always found it was one of those just classic stories, because it's so easy to lose that.
Yeah.
But you don't know, it's like you don't know what you've got until it's gone, you know?
That's right.
And now you're really taking, just like the river, it's like you guys are just taking advantage of so much of that stuff to really make this great destination. This is great destination. So now, John, I'm looking at the time, and I know that we've only got about a minute left. My job on this show, John does all the talking. I do comic relief and watch the time. So I want to check if John has a final question. But this has just really been fascinating. I think for a lot of the folks who are here, who are seeing changes, but to see that it's part of this really cohesive whole is really exciting.
Yeah, listening throughout this program, all it does is make me want to invite the two of them back again at some point, because you're going to have 5 new projects, and you're going to be wrapping up 5 additional, and talk about diversity. You have so much going. Thank you so much, Pam. I appreciate it. Thank you, Christina.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you. Yeah, we enjoy coming here. So this is great.
Great.
And so folks, if you're interested, we're going to keep having these people on. I just know that our ratings are going to go through the roof as a result of this show. So we will be inviting them back. It is an amazing thing to be watching how Hudson has evolved over the last 20 years. And they're driving the bus. These folks are driving the bus.
Absolutely.
So thank you, John, for bringing these folks together. And it continues to be a lot of fun working together here. Folks, we hope you enjoyed this show. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Hudson. Thank you very much.